I was 34 when I finally bought my first house, a modern two-story tucked just outside Seattle, paid for in full. No cosigner. No handouts. No loan from family that would hang over my head like a chain of guilt. Just me, my ambition, and the kind of stubborn grit that came from growing up in a house where love was conditional, and achievement meant little unless you were her, my sister, Alyssa. Growing up, it was always Alyssa who got the extra scoop of ice cream, the better seat at dinner, the last piece of cake, because she's sensitive. Sensitive meant needy, and needy meant mom and dad bent over backwards for her, while I quietly taught myself how to survive being the family afterthought. I stopped expecting praise when I made the honor roll. They'd already called the school to ask if Alyssa could get extensions on her missed homework due to emotional strain. I stopped asking for help, and that's when I learned to do it all alone. And now? I was thriving. I owned a thriving boutique PR agency, had just been profiled in Seattle Woman, and booked my first TEDx talk next quarter. No parents, no trust funds, no shortcuts. Just me, burning the midnight oil while Alyssa ping-ponged between short-lived jobs and a side hustle Etsy shop that my parents funded because it gives her purpose. When I landed a major contract with a tech company that would elevate my business to the national stage, I decided it was time to celebrate. Not just for me, but for the people I used to wish would be proud of me. I figured, maybe now, they would be. So I planned a trip. A proper family vacation, lakefront rental in Tahoe, chef-prepared meals, paddleboarding, wine tasting. I handled everything. All expenses covered. My gift. My way of saying, look, I made it. And I still want you in my life. I told Alyssa first, over coffee. She blinked at me, too quickly, like she hadn't heard. Wait, you're paying for all of it? Yeah, I said. Why not? She twisted the lid on her latte. No reason. That's generous. But her mouth twitched like it tasted sour. 2 weeks later, the group chat for the trip lit up, links, photos, questions about bedroom arrangements, vegan menus, and does everyone like the lake house I picked? But I hadn't sent any of it. Alyssa had. She'd renamed the chat Alyssa's Tahoe Retreat. At first, I tried to laugh it off. Classic Alyssa. Star of the show even when she didn't buy the ticket. But when I saw the Airbnb reservation email had been cancelled, my original booking gone, and a new, more expensive property reserved under her name, I saw red. I called her. Calmly. At first. You cancelled the rental? I asked. Oh, yeah. The one you picked was cute, but it was, like, kind of rustic? I found one with an infinity pool. You'll love it. I picked that one for a reason. It had space for everyone and this one has space and heated floors. Alyssa. You didn't pay for it. She paused. Well, Mom and Dad offered to cover it since I didn't get the bonus this month. They said it was my turn to do something nice for the family. My pulse spiked. Your turn? Alyssa, I organized this trip. This was supposed to be my gift, my celebration. She said nothing for a beat. Then, like it was the most obvious thing in the world, yeah, but come on. You don't really need the attention, do you? You already have the fancy house and the business and all of it. I sat there, phone hot in my hand, listening to the silence between her words. The jealousy. The entitlement. That night, I called the caterer, the guide, the boat rental. Every last one was listed under my original contact info, and every one had received updates from Alyssa. She'd rebranded my celebration as her own, at my expense. Something in me snapped. Not rage. Not even sadness. Strategy. Alyssa wanted the spotlight? I'd let her keep it, for now. Because I had a plan. One that would remind everyone exactly who had built this life from the ground up, and who was just squatting in someone else's success. The funny thing about being underestimated your entire life is that people forget you're watching, listening, planning, and when you finally strike back, they never see it coming. Alyssa strutted into the Tahoe rental like it was her coronation. I arrived the next day, on purpose. I wanted her to think she'd won. Mom hugged me at the door like I was a visiting cousin. Did you see the place? Isn't Alyssa's taste incredible? I smiled. It's something. She had welcome bags on each bed, lavender sachets, spa slippers, little itineraries printed in cursive font. Alyssa's retreat, reconnect, reflect, renew. She even made a hashtag. Hashtag Alyssa's Lake Vibes. I didn't unpack. That night, we had dinner on the deck, candles flickering, wine flowing, the kind of curated family moment people put in Christmas cards. Alyssa raised her glass halfway through the main course. I just wanted to say how happy I am to finally do something meaningful for all of you, she began. It's been a tough year, but being here with the people who love me, who've always believed in me, it means the world. My mother wiped a tear. Dad grunted approvingly. I watched them all drink her performance like it was top-shelf wine. And to my sister, she added, turning to me, thanks for inspiring me. You've always been so driven. This trip is my way of saying, I'm catching up. Oh. That was it, then. This whole charade wasn't about giving, it was about taking back. She couldn't stand that I didn't need them anymore, that I had built something without their help. She wasn't catching up. She was hijacking the narrative. And now, it was my turn. The next morning, while Alyssa was out paddleboarding for her Instagram story and Mom was off getting a massage, pre-booked, of course, by me, I called a little meeting. Just me, Dad, and my laptop. Remember when I said this trip was a celebration of my big contract? I asked him, casually clicking through a slide deck I'd prepared. He blinked at the screen, clearly confused. Yeah, why? Well, I said, I thought you and Mom should see exactly what I've been working on. I didn't want to make a big deal at dinner last night since it wasn't my party, apparently. I smiled, all sugar. But this project? It's why I planned this trip. It's what I'm celebrating. I walked him through the rebrand campaign I'd led for a national tech company, numbers, press coverage, before and after snapshots. I showed him the Forbes blurb, the TEDx invite. Dad sat back, jaw slightly slack. You did all this? All by myself, I said softly. His face shifted, first pride, then something murkier. Regret? Maybe. He cleared his throat. You know, your mother and we didn't realize that you were backing the wrong horse? I said it without venom. Just facts. I know. He didn't argue. Just nodded, slowly. I leaned back, cool and calm. There's going to be a press piece next week, actually. They're profiling me. About building something without help. Without handouts. Dad went quiet. Oh, and I sent in a few family photos, I added, casually sipping my tea. Including one from this trip. I figured, why not? He blinked. Which one? I tilted my head. The one where Mom's giving a toast to Alyssa's achievement. Should make a great caption when the article says entrepreneur credits success to independence from family influences. The silence that followed was delicious. By the time Alyssa returned, flushed and glowing, Dad was staring into his coffee like it held the meaning of life. What's going on? She asked, eyeing us. I smiled sweetly. Just catching up. The revenge wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It was quieter, cleaner. By the third day of the trip, cracks had started to form, little ones, just beneath the surface, like spider lines on glass. Nobody else seemed to notice yet, but I could feel it. The shift. It was in the way Dad suddenly paused when Alyssa interrupted me at breakfast. In the way Mom kept checking her phone after I casually mentioned the name of the journalist profiling me. And in the way Alyssa, for all her gloating and giggles, had started to sense something was off. I gave her nothing to work with. I smiled. I played along. I let her take the family on that wine-tasting tour like it was her gift to the world. I even let her assign me the smallest bedroom in the house, the one by the laundry room, with a mattress that sank like a sponge. Because I was waiting. On the final night, after her perfectly curated sunset dinner, she pulled out a notebook. She tapped her fork on her wine glass. Everyone, before dessert, I thought it might be nice if we shared something we've appreciated this week. She wanted applause. Gratitude. Worship. Dad cleared his throat first. I'll go. He looked straight at her. I appreciate that this trip reminded me how easy it is to confuse effort with intention. Sometimes we think someone's doing something for us, when really, it's for themselves. Alyssa blinked. I didn't say a word. I just looked at him. Quiet. Steady. He turned to me and added, and I appreciate the kind of success that doesn't need to be loud to matter. The silence at the table could have sucked the candles out. Alyssa laughed, tight. Okay, not sure what that means, but thank you. Then Mom chimed in. I'm proud of you both, for different reasons. Her smile was brittle. But I'm especially proud of how hard you've worked, she said, nodding toward me. We didn't make it easy for you. I raised my glass. No. You didn't. There it was. No venom. No grand speech. Just the truth, finally spoken aloud. Alyssa stared at me like she didn't recognize me. Why are you doing this? She hissed later, when we were alone in the kitchen. Doing what? I replied, calmly slicing cheesecake, turning them against me. You did that on your own. She stepped closer. You don't know what it's like to always come in second. I laughed softly. No, Alyssa. You don't. You've always been the headliner. I've been the opening act who built her own stage. You're jealous, she snapped. I leaned in. I paid for this entire trip, quietly, carefully, out of love, and you hijacked it. You wanted their praise so badly, you didn't even wonder if you earned it. She didn't respond. Her throat moved like she was swallowing something bitter. Oh, and by the way, I added, pulling out my phone, remember that little interview I mentioned? Her eyes flicked to the screen. I sent them everything, I said. Photos. Emails. The receipts for this trip. The rebooking under your name. The way you quietly slipped mom and dad the bill. Her face turned pale. They're running it next Tuesday. The title? I grinned. Rewriting the narrative, how one woman turned a lifetime of being overlooked into power. She gasped. You wouldn't. I did. She stood frozen, the bravado slipping from her face like a mask melting in heat. And just like that, the house she built on borrowed glory began to collapse. The morning we left Tahoe, the air felt thinner. Not from the altitude, no, it was something else. Like the weight of all the unspoken truths had finally shifted, settled. I woke early, packed without fanfare, and took my coffee out to the deck while everyone else moved quietly through the house. Alyssa hadn't spoken to me since our kitchen exchange the night before. She'd sulked off, left her dessert untouched, and spent the rest of the night scrolling her phone like it might contain a version of the evening where she hadn't lost. But there was no undoing it now. Her house of mirrors had shattered, and the people who once helped her hold it up were now seeing their reflections too clearly. By the time the cars were loaded, Mom and Dad stood awkwardly at the curb. Alyssa tried to say something that sounded like a goodbye, soft, rehearsed, unfinished, but Mom just touched her arm and turned to me. Are you sure you don't want to drive with us? She asked. Her voice was different now. Not the brittle, patronizing tone she always used when Alyssa was around. This one had weight. Sincerity. I'm good, I said, smiling. I've got a long playlist and no one to talk over me. Sounds perfect. Dad chuckled, but it faded fast. Listen, about all this. It's fine, I said. Really. I didn't plan for it to get messy. But it did, he said. Because it needed to. He rubbed his neck and glanced toward the car where Alyssa was already sitting, arms crossed and sunglasses on. You know, your mother and we were wrong. About a lot of things. We didn't see you. You didn't want to, I said quietly. He winced, but nodded. Maybe. But we do now. That would have meant more when I was 15. Or 20. Or even just last year when I was killing myself to keep my business afloat while Alyssa got a new MacBook because she needed a creative outlet. But now? Now I didn't need their pride. I just needed them to know the truth. I'm not angry, I told them. I just don't need you to applaud anymore. I need you to listen. Mom reached out and held my hand. We're listening. That was enough, for now. The article dropped 3 days later. The headline was even better than I expected. Success isn't always loud, how one woman built a life without applause, and why she's done staying quiet. My story wasn't just about business. It was about growing up in a family where praise was rationed like gold, where love came with conditions and comparison, where some people got carried, and others got forgotten. There was a section, small but deliberate, about the trip. About a sister who tried to steal a celebration. About a woman who let it happen, until she didn't. I didn't name names. I didn't have to. Alyssa texted the next day. You humiliated me. I can't believe you'd use your success to tear me down. I stared at the message for a full minute before replying. I didn't tear you down. I just stopped holding you up. She didn't answer. A week later, I got an email from a young woman who read the article. She said her sister had always been the golden child too. Said she cried when she read my story. Said thank you for saying the thing no one says out loud, that success without support is still success. Maybe even more so. Now, I'm back in Seattle. I bought a new chair for my office, a sleek leather one that screams CEO, not scrappy startup girl. The TEDx talk is in 2 months. I'm prepping a new series on mentorship for young women in business. My parents called last night. They're coming up for the talk. They said they've already booked their flights. As for Alyssa? I don't know. Maybe she'll learn from this. Maybe she won't. But for the first time in my life, it doesn't matter. Because I finally stopped shrinking to make space for her. And I'm not done growing.